Good afternoon, Neil here with the Off the Lip Radio Show and my series Who's Who in Santa Cruz. And this afternoon I'm here with Camille Ellis, who is a life coach and a lot more. Camille, how the heck are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. What do you want to chat about?
Healing.
Okay, I'm in.
All right.
Okay.
And this
Healing
is
of the mind, right?
healing of the mind, healing
Okay.
of your emotions, healing from traumatic experiences, whether it was being laid off from a job or having a relationship breakup or worse, right? We have all these emotions and we think all these thoughts and it's terrible, right? So when you're going through a really hard time, maybe you just got laid off and you don't know what you're going to do, you have to look within and you have to change your mindset so that you can get through the difficult experience you're having.
Okay.
And it's healing, because what happens is you empower yourself to be able to get through things really nicely. But when you get caught in your head and all you're thinking about is what has happened to you, then you're in a victim mindset that life isn't working for you.
Right.
But if you can see that everything is happening for you, then you can see other opportunities that you would never have seen otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's very healing.
But you're gonna have to want to get that therapy to start with, right?
Well, yeah, some people like staying stuck and miserable. There are those people.
I know some people, yeah. Stuck in park and miserable.
That's right.
So you have to make the step. First step is to come see you, but you got to make that first step though first. Right
Well,
away.
you have to want to change, right? You have to want to change your situation. So when you're really sick of the situation, this is what humans do, right? We have to get really uncomfortable before we're willing to make change.
Yeah.
So maybe you're really miserable. Maybe you're heartbroken. Maybe, I don't know, you're so broke you can't even think straight because you haven't worked. Whatever. Or maybe it's worse, right? Maybe you lost the love of your life. Maybe somebody died. Whatever the situation is, if you can look within and see what you're thinking and what you're making everything mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can start kind of rewiring your brain and changing the way you think about it so that it becomes very healing. And the more you can do these things, the more they become a daily practice. Like, what else is out there for you today that you can do, right? And it's really like powerful. Instead of being a victim that had something happen to them, now suddenly you are seeing how you can grow and heal your mindset about the situation and use it for you.
If a person that you know passes away, that's grieving.
Yes.
When do you turn that into grief, where you can now maybe go ahead and your grieving's come to an end? Now you can go ahead and try and change yourself or fix what you need to fix.
Well, first off, you don't ever stop grieving.
Right.
And you don't want to. You always want to feel grief when you lose somebody you love, but you learn how to live with the grief and the love that you had for the person and the experience, and what a blessing it is to have had the life experience.
You want to talk about that as far as what happened in your life?
I can.
Okay.
So I lost my son in 2010 at the age of 18 to suicide. And of course it was really shocking and horrible, and I didn't know what to do, and I thought I was a victim, and the horrible nightmare of being a parent who lost a child came true for me, and I had to live with that. But I kept thinking I would never live fully, I would never be happy, I would never smile, I would not be the best mom to my other children because I couldn't be happy, and so forth and so on. And you create a massive story about how nothing will ever be good again. And there's all kinds of evidence out there you can pick up to prove that point.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the practice that I've always had, kind of looking at my thoughts and healing my situation, what I realized was that I was very, very fortunate, and I was so lucky. And I'm not in charge of life or death, and therefore I can accept both of them as they come. And now I just had to allow the passing of my son with love.
Can we talk about, I don't know what to talk about, it's such a difficult subject, but can you talk about why you think he wanted to end his life? at that?
Well, I know he wanted to end his life because he didn't want to live anymore. He was done with the living experience.
Did he tell you that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he had struggled his whole 18 years, and he was done. He did it, and he tried, and he did a great job, and he was amazing. He did amazing things. And you do that, well, he could have been so much better. He could have been this and he could have been that. But that was never meant to be. If it was meant to be, it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it was shocking for a lot of people. Like, how could he have ended his life? Because he was so great. And he was, except inside, and as his mom, I knew everything was a struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was always fighting himself. And I did everything I could to help him from the minute he was born until the day he died. And his life was amazing. And I just am so lucky to have had the experience. So I took it.
So it didn't come as a shock to you that he ended his life then?
Well, of course it did.
Yeah.
Because you don't ever want to think that's ever going to happen. But when it did happen, there was a part of it that made sense to me because of him, but also because of my view of life and death, right? My acceptance of I don't have the power over any of it. So I can't go back and change. I can't bring him back to live.
Mm-hmm.
But I can be amazing because he did live instead of being less than I was because he died.
Okay.
Right? Very powerful,
Mm-hmm.
right? You get to choose. Like, just be more because of the experience. And in that way, I can honor the experience of his life and as his mom, so that kind of carries his energy forward in life through me. Because I'm different now, but I'm powerful, and I help other people who are going through similar situations with that same, mindset. And how do we heal from that sort of trauma?
Were you treating people or seeing people or helping people before he passed away?
Yes, but not with death.
Okay. So you that became something you included in your practice. After he passed away, you wanted to give people the knowledge or experience, your own experience of how to cope with death.
It's something life gave me because I started meeting people who had lost children, and life just gave that gift to me. Like, certain things happen in life, right? It's a gift, whatever it is. And I took that as a gift and also a mission. Like, I'm supposed to help these people. I'm supposed to be able to share my story and help them heal from their losses. Many parents, and I'm sure, even partners, it doesn't matter, when they lose somebody, many people get stuck in the loss and never really hold on to the gain.
What do you think you teach people? Let's say someone passed away, like a loved one or a spouse or whatever. How do you go about it? You find out about how their lives were, and how do you go about?
So here's the thing: you have to recognize that naturally, as every human, we design how our life is going to be, right? So I designed my life that I was going to live my life the way I lived it, and I would have children, and they would grow up, and they would make me a grandparent, and this is just the way it was going to go. So I had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that plan didn't happen necessarily. It got changed on me. And so when things change, this is where we get stuck. And suddenly, I lost a child. And he was never going to get married, have children, or do anything like that. I was never going to see him as a full adult. And that suddenly changed what I had already planned in the program of my brain, and this is what gets us really disturbed. So sometimes we have to redesign our lives and say, okay, so this did happen. How can I redesign who I want to be now with the information I have? Knowing that it's always going to hurt. I'm never going to be happy to have lost a child. I'm never going to be, not grieving over the loss.
Mm-hmm.
That will just always live with me.
Mm-hmm.
It gets smoother as you go through your grief.
Time heals, right?
The hurt is still the same. I just think that's just too generic to say time heals.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a matter of processing it and also picking up the love and the joy with it. So my perspective was, if I'm miserable, he would be so mad at me. He was a very passionate man, and he didn't want anybody to be miserable. So if I decided to be miserable, I would almost be shaming him.
But wouldn't he know? Wouldn't he have known that you or his friends would be miserable if he chose his own or chose to end his life? He'd know you'd be miserable.
Of course, he was very worried about everybody.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to hurt anybody. Maybe that's why he waited until he did, because he didn't want to hurt people. But he was hurting more. And that had to come to an end. He was in so much pain.
Okay.
And so it's just allowing it. What if we allow the loss? What if we allow anything, the breakup, the loss of job, whatever. What if you allow it? Now what? What is your story now if you can allow it?
Mm-hmm.
Can you rewrite your story so that it gives you the power to be joyful and to do more in your life?
Right.
So you're really rewiring your brain. You're rewriting the story. You're coming up with a thought that is more serving to you and to that situation.
But you have to allow your brain to go there. You have to.
Right. You have to go in. You have to reflect inside, in your heart, because your head's going to offer you everything negative. But when you get into your heart and you question all those negative sentences that you're hearing in your head, you start getting more clarity.
Okay.
And with that you get peace and understanding.
Yeah.
And you can respect the situation more. If it's a breakup, you can respect the fact that it's just an ending of a relationship, but there are many relationships that can still be had.
Right. So is this more like your specialty? You would say?
I would say, yes. I think I'm really good at unscrambling all the negative and traumatic experiences. People get spinning like on a hamster wheel, right? Mm-hmm. They go, oh my God, my job, or my relationship, or whatever, or this was so terrible, and they tell the terrible story, and they just keep picking up more terrible evidence. But if that's all you're seeing is terrible, then terrible things are going to be all around you. But if you start thinking what was good, then you start seeing more good things around you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the good is everywhere.
Right.
There's just, it's amazing, and now you start healing, so you're not that grumpy, miserable soul.
Yeah. So what do people do? People call you? How do we get?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell people precisely what you do, if you could do that, so they can hang it. So this is my title.
Well, I'm a certified life coach, and I coach people through their troubles, whatever they are. It doesn't matter, but I do specialize with trauma and grief. And you can call me at 831-246-1038. Or you can look me up at my website, yourcoachcamille.com.
Facebook and Instagram, like?
Yes, they're all the same.
They're all the same?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good job. Very helpful. Very useful.